And we are live.
Oh, jolly good.
Once again. Hi, kids. Hello, hello. Happy Tuesday. I'm just a bit confused. I was like, why are the bin men here? It's not Monday. It's Tuesday. They must have forgotten somebody's bins.
Probably, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So today we're super excited to reconnect with an old friend of ours. He's not old, but we're old. So he was like 2 when we met him. Today, our guest will be the lovely Roger McGough CBE and FRSL, which he will tell us about. He is one of Britain's most beloved and enduring poets, known for his wit, wordplay, and deep emotional resonance. Born in Litherland, near Liverpool, McGough rose to prominence in the 1960s as a leading voice in the Liverpool poets movement, alongside Adrian, Henri, and Patten. Their influential anthology, The Mersey Sound, in 1967, brought poetry to a new, younger audience and became one of the best-selling poetry collections of all time in the UK. He was also a member of the famous trio known as Scaffold, with members John Gorman and my own stepbrother, McGear McCartney. They appeared regularly at Liverpool's Everyman Theatre, the Edinburgh Festival, and also had a couple of chart toppers, Thank You Very Much, and Lily the Pink, which made them faves at BBC's Top of the Pops, where I used to get to go down and see them do their thing. A prolific writer, he's published dozens of poetry collections for both adults and children, including The Way Things Are, You Tell Me, After the Merrymaking, and As Far as I Know. His work is often marked by humor and a keen social awareness, blending the lyrical with the satirical. In addition to poetry, McGough has enjoyed a successful career in broadcasting. He's hosted BBC Radio 4's long-running poetry show, Poetry Please, and written scripts for stage and film, including some contributions to the Beatles' Yellow Submarine. He's received numerous accolades, including the Freedom of the City of Liverpool, an OBE in 1997, a CBE in 2004 for services to literature. He's a fellow of the Royal Society of Literature and continues to perform and publish widely, delighting generations of readers and audiences with his poetic voice. His current projects include a tour aptly named Alive and Gigging, and the release of his latest book, The Collective Poems, which are poetry from 1955 to 2024. He's been called the patron saint of poetry by Carol Ann Duffy, and Time Out magazine said of Roger, McGough has done for poetry what champagne has done for weddings. And here he is now. Welcome, Roger.
Hello.
Hello.
Did you know you'd done all that?
I didn't know I'd done all that, No,
I
knew my name and I recognised Litherland because that was I was born. Yeah. And Liverpool and the Scaffold because I remember the Scaffold.
Oh yeah.
But the rest sort of went over my head.
You when you read your own bio, you need a bit of a lie down afterwards, don't you? Like, good God, did I do all of that?
Yeah.
So onto the patron saint of poetry thing.
Yeah.
Cracked us up.
Yes, they call it patron saint of poetry. I love that. What first inspired you to write? You know, your love of words and verse. Yeah. What got you started?
It was funny, really, wasn't it? Because I was at school, went to school. My dad was a docker. He was worked on the docks in Liverpool. And I was born just before the war. That's the Second World War, not the First.
Oh, yeah, fine.
Before the Second World, born in 1937. And then when I was a baby, the Blitz started in Liverpool. And I remember my first memories as a baby were being taken out of the house and hearing sirens going off. And my dad carried me on his shoulders down an back alleyway into the shelter that everybody shared in the local streets. And the bombs, searchlights in the sky, and these big balloons, silver balloons, which are barrage balloons. And all these are my best memories. But not being frightened, it was like an adventure. And then sometimes if we couldn't make it to the shelter because it was so sirens are blasting and the bombs are falling, my dad Mum used to go into this little room in the kitchen and lie me and my sister Brenda on the floor and get on top of us, and hopefully they're playing. Now, what was funny about this sounds awful and it sounds very frightening. And when you see things like happening in Gaza and Iraq, anywhere, it is horrible. But as a child, of course, you're protected. Your parents take all the pain. And I was always brought up to think how lucky I was. Roger, you're really lucky having a mum and dad. You're lucky being a Catholic. Could have been a Protestant, gone straight to hell. You're lucky to be born in Liverpool. You know, you could have been born in Manchester or, you know, Santa Monica.
God forbid, York.
Santa Monica. Yeah, you're born in Liverpool. How lucky you are. So, having been brought up to think how lucky you are, it's sort of in a funny way stayed with me all my life. And, you know, I've always thanked them for that because I've never been envious of other people, really. Never thought, oh, I should have been them. Why didn't I do this? Why didn't I? No, I was lucky to be all those things. So why I started writing, I don't know. Went to school, went to taught by Irish Christian brothers, the famous monks who used to teach the boys and strap them. Used to use the strap. Sounds awful, but they took working class lads and got them into university. And I was lucky to be born at a time when we didn't have to pay huge fees to go to university.
Right.
You know, I was able to go to university. My parents could afford it. And there I did French and geography and that. And what happened was some poets came to read at the uni. And I thought, this is interesting. And I listened to an LP of Richard Burton reading Under Milkwood.
Oh.
Lovely Under Milkwood, a wonderful play written by Dylan Thomas. And, you know, what you could do with language and things like that, I thought was really good. Because before then, poetry for me had been very difficult. Shakespeare, you know, Shakespeare and stuff like that. And you have to sort of understand it. And it seemed very old fashioned. Well, suddenly Dylan Thomas spoke to me and I started just writing scribbles myself.
Scribbles. I wouldn't call them scribbles.
Well, no, whether initially they were.
Started, yeah.
That's amazing. And so, obviously, you know, growing up in post-war Liverpool, it was a very black and white, kind of a depressed world. Was your poetry shaped towards, you know, the post-war things, or were you more utopian and trying?
No, really. My first one, I remember the first poems were about having a girlfriend, falling in love, and that sort of thing. You know, being a teenager. And I remember working while I was at university. One year I went to work in a place called Scarborough, which is a resort north of Hull University where I was. Philip Larkin was at the same university. And I didn't speak to him. He was older than me and he was the librarian. I was a student. But I worked in this restaurant and as a student. And I found the words to this poem, which began, "In between the tables, silver gleaming, I dash full splash, soup plates steaming." And I wrote this when I was like 18. And I could have written it yesterday. I haven't improved, you know, in a funny way. You just do. You write about what you're doing and not knowing what's going to happen. You know, you start off this waiter dashing between the plate, and I didn't know when I was writing, what's going to happen here? What's going to happen? And funny things happened. And I thought, well, this is quite funny, this. But I didn't think it was poetry. I wasn't sure whether it was poetry or just like storytelling in rhyme. You know what I mean? I had an idea what poetry was very up there. You know, it's what people did.
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm a little bit younger than you. When I was being taught, again, in the Liverpool school system, poetry had to scan and every line had to either rhyme in couplets or what have you. And I think when, you know, genius people like yourself started writing poetry, it interested me more because it was storytelling with rhythm and rhyme, but not to this sort of regimented.
Necessarily, yeah. And if you want to do that, you can come later. You know, I like to start the poem, and like to learn poetry, anybody can do it. Just putting words down on paper and expressing things, and the rhyme comes later. And if you like, and I like writing villanelle and sonnets and different sorts of things, but that came later. You know, when you get good at what you do.
How did you once you graduated? You obviously must have come back to Merseyside to hook up with Adrian, Henri, and McGear and Gorman and all those guys.
Yeah. I left university. Having done an extra year to teaching diploma, came back to Liverpool and got a teaching job. Taught in a boys' comprehensive school, and then I got after 2 years left to work in a college, technical college, where I taught catering French to trainee chefs. It's really good. It's really good.
Oh my God!
Yeah, they're also, and I had to teach them because I know nothing about cookery, but I knew not much about French. But it was the menu French, so they wouldn't know what creme brulee was. Creme brulee.
Yes.
I would tell them, oh, Yes, that was probably called after the Battle of Brulé. Napoleonic Wars and wars, things like this. They didn't mind. They were sort of there for the laugh. So I taught that free. And then, all during this time when I was teaching, I had a double life. So during the day, I was a teacher and a very good teacher. Very good. So I used to carry a bag around me, and in the bag would be, a roll neck collar shirt and jeans and cigarettes. And I go into a telephone box and change my corduroy jacket.
Superman.
It's my all black beatnik stuff, beatnik. And going to Liverpool town, into these places, pubs and clubs. And the clubs I mentioned were places where they used to have open 6 nights a week, and there'd be bands playing and folk songs. And then one night it'd be clear, so a lot of poets would be there reading their poems. So I thought, this is good. So I began reading my own poems, and that's when I met Adrian, Brian, amongst a lot of other people. And we just got on well, really, and we all seem to be doing the same sort of thing. And then I went to one of the venues. It's called the Everyman Theatre.
Yep.
And famous, wonderful theatre. Lots of great actors connected with it. And they had a room downstairs, the basement. We used to go and do readings.
Yep.
And that's where I met John Gorman. John came along, and he had his poems. He also had funny little pieces. And then Mike came along. Mike McCartney came along. We didn't know who Mike. He was a hairdresser, ladies' hairdresser.
Yes, he was.
Along and do it. And so we used to give him the scripts. And we always use scripts. We used to write these scripts. I used to write these satirical stuff, really. There'll be poems from Brian, poems from Adrian, poems from me, poems from John. And then I used to write these surreal, satirical stuff. It was funny. And that's what we were doing. And oh, sorry.
No, go on.
I was going to say, I'm doing this weekly. By this time, we learned that Mike McCartney had a brother.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Called Paul. Yeah. And funny enough, Paul McCartney was one of the Beatles. Amazing. And in fact, Paul used to drop in occasionally with George. We never saw John, but they used to pop in and just stand at the back and see what we were doing. Very quickly.
Absorb a bit of culture.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think. But of course, they were writing poetry as well, weren't they? They didn't let on.
And put music under it.
And then some television people heard about what was going on and came down and saw us, all a group of us, and chose 3 people to go on television. It could have been Adrian Henri was with us, another girl, Jenny Beattie, was an actress girlfriend, Brian, all these people. But they chose 3 of us to go on television show called Gazette, which we had to do improvising on headlines and I packed in teaching. We all packed in our jobs. John packed in being a telephone office engineer. Mike packed in being a hairdresser. Yep. And we became the Scaffolds.
And that's amazing, isn't it? The Elizabeth is asking, how did you get from poetry to comedy? Do you think that's just a natural part of being a Scouser and part of being in that scene? Because Liverpool's a pretty funny town, isn't it?
It is, yeah. I think you're right. And there's that funny thing about it being, because I do write funny poems, and also when I do a show live and gigging, there are the poems, and some are very serious. And as I've gotten older, I find that people are terrified of AI.
Yep.
AI, it's all AI. Now, my main concern, being at the age I am, is AR, which is age-related. Everything is age-related.
Oh, I know about that one.
You wouldn't know about that, Angie. Get out of it.
Yeah.
You would. Okay. Everything's age-related, isn't it? You get it's age. So a lot of my poems are about age-related. So, but I try to keep them. They're serious. They've got to be serious, and they're all serious. But there are funny parts as well. So when I do a show, I can read serious poems, which are hopefully moving and about death and about dying and about loss, grief, but also in between there might be things that are funny, and the way you present them is important. But the problem I always had, one of the problems as a Liverpool poet, and you can imagine this both of you come from Liverpool, is that people have a concept of what you are and what you can do and can't do. And being funny is okay, but you're not really going to be very serious or, you know, whatever. And if you're a funny poet, you're not a proper poet.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can't be serious. You know, you can't be a comedian, and you can't be serious. And I don't go with that. I think we are some of us are all these things.
Yeah.
You know, it's knowing when to pull the plug in and when to step back. And
yeah. The Scaffold had both commercial success and satirical bite. How did your role in the group differ from your own solo poetic work?
Yeah, interesting, I suppose. Well, I was writing most of the sketches. John wrote some stuff as well. John was Gorman, was a very funny guy, but they tended to be mainly quite wacky sort of character stuff.
Yeah.
Mine were more sort of playful and things. So you're reliant on other people when you work at the Scaffold. And we did our reunion, 50 years reunion, a year before last at the Everyman Theatre where we started.
Oh.
And that was funny, meeting again after having not worked together for for 30 years. Then I was coming doing a 2-hour show.
Not bad.
Woo-hoo! Yeah, and it was hairy, but we enjoyed it, and the audience loved it. But you realise how different we all were. You know,
Oh, yeah.
personalities.
Sure.
Yeah, of course. Which gave it its charm and its power when early on in the day. But you realise that I was always a poet, and also, of course, we mentioned the Scaffold music and the music we're associated with. And we recently got a Cherry Red company in Britain brought out this box set of all the Scaffold material, of all our songs and comedy stuff, all these CDs we made over the years. And you realise a lot of it is very funny, but a lot of the songs, great musicians we worked with, you know, with Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
You know, in the studio with Jimi Hendrix, Graham Nash, Elton John was a session. So you're working with these people in the studio. So you're led to be, sometimes you just think, oh, it's great being a musician.
Yes.
And someone would sit at a piano or pick up a guitar and think, I can't do that. I'm not a musician. You know, you realize what you are, what you aren't. And that takes, you know.
No, you've sort of preempted my next question. Lily the Pink obviously remains a beloved classic. And actually, Angie's tea company is a nod. Angie has Mrs. McCartney's teas. And the actual corporate entity is the Most Efficacious Comestibles Company.
How do you spell Efficacious Comestible Company?
Yes. EFFICACIO.
Yeah, she can, you know.
Exactly.
So yes, it's a nod. It's a nod to Lily the Pink in the most efficacious way. When you say you were in the studio with all these fantastic musicians, is there a sort of a standout moment for you in recording Lily the Pink? Thank you very much. Is there?
What's so funny about Lily the Pink? It was, as you know, well written and existed, played for years. We used to sing it at university. But we decided to do it for some reason. We used to like singing in the car, going places. So we started to change the verses. And one of the verses I wrote was a nod towards the Hollies at the time. And the Hollies, and we're talking about Graham Nash and people. One of their hits was Jennifer Eccles.
Had very good freckles.
Yeah, terrible freckles, yeah. And so I wrote this verse by Jennifer Eccles, terrible freckles. All the boys all called her names, which I used to sing. But when we'd recorded it, Graham Nash was there. I said, hey, Graham, why don't you sing this verse? So he sang the verse on the record. No one knows that. Needs to know. It was funny. And I used to mime to his voice when we were on stage. So it was just the fun part of doing
I bet.
That's what our friend Karen Reeder, who's up in Edinburgh, which you will know also well from playing the festival many times.
Oh,
he's asking, and what exactly is the Aintree Iron?
What is the Aintree Iron?
How very dare he?
How dare? Yeah, I mean, I'd love to listen, Kevin. I'd love to tell you. I really would. I'd so much love
You'd have to kill him. Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We all did a sort of. John, Mike, and I years and years ago got little knives out and
put our
blood together. Vowed never to say what the Aintree Iron is.
Sorry, Karen.
Karen is also asking, what was it like to meet and work with Viv Stanshall? Did he behave himself or did he buy you a pint or three?
I like that. He did behave himself generally. He was a lovely man and a special guy. Was Vivian Stanshall, very eccentric, as you know. He could be difficult to work with. I remember on stage once, and he waiting in the wings to go on with the Bonzo Dogs. And Brian Patten was reading poems, lovely poems on stage, and Viv thought he was going on a bit long, and threw an empty beer can from the wings and hit Brian on the head, which Brian didn't enjoy. But generally, he was right. And you may remember, of course, Neil Innes, who died in the last. In fact,
loved him. Yeah,
loved Neil. Great friends, and in fact, they had a wonderful celebration of his life just a few months ago at the O2 huge venue.
Oh, fantastic!
All these people and musicians he'd worked with, great musicians, and I went along and I read a poem in his honor. But
did everyone wear rubber duckies on their heads?
They should have done, didn't they?
I particularly loved it. Sweet to be an idiot.
Yeah,
sweet to be an idiot. Yeah,
yeah. Because when you're dumb, there's nothing you can do about it. You don't know you're stupid, do you?
I don't know.
You can't fix stupid.
I don't know.
A difficult question, that, Ruth.
Well, we said we wouldn't talk politics, didn't we?
So the Liverpool Poets movement, as it was known, with Brian and Adrian.
What made the movement so sort of unique in British literary history?
A couple of things, really, Ange. One thing was, I think it made poetry brought it closer to the people. And there was a time when I started going to I mentioned the Everyman Theatre, and we, of course, there's influence of the American poetry, the Beats, Ferlinghetti, whom I met, and later on Corso, and Ginsberg, a lot of the American poets, and they were going out there taking poetry to the people. The library and into wonderful. We envied what was going on there. I thought, it'd be great to be in, and it must be great to be in South California or New York, and so and then started to write poems, because people writing poems about faraway places or about up there somewhere, and once you start writing poems about walking down Lime Street or getting on a 23 bus to Bootle, which people did. At first, people said that's not poetry because it's not about poetic places.
Right.
Which mean poetic places are where you look and want to write your poems about, aren't they? We all know that poetry's everywhere around. And so it could the humor and all those things attracted an audience, and it did irritate a lot of the critics, of course, inevitably. But irritating critics is a good thing. And I just think we appeal to people. And I still now am very touched when people say, that I never liked poetry, but reading your poetry at school or hearing you came to our school to read, or I went to see you at such a venue.
Yeah, I'll drink to that, actually.
Yeah.
Mind you, I'll drink to anything, but no.
Yeah.
No, I mean, obviously being lucky enough to be me and be exposed to both music and, on the Beatles side and Scaffold side as a kid, you had a profound influence on me and my fascination with the English language and inspiration and things like that. I would come, what would I be, 8, 9, 12, 10, 12 years old to Everyman downstairs and upstairs and see you guys. And I always just really, I'd go away wondering who Monica was or,
And you were very naughty, I remember, wasn't you, Ange? I remember.
Yes.
So much. Ange,
horrible child.
have a word, Ruth. No,
do you remember coming to the south of France with Mike and Jim and Ruth and
I do.
And you taught me how to say her name in French.
Je m'appelle Ruth. You taught me.
Yeah.
I do, but je recall. First thing I remember, going into a room in this lovely hotel. Jim was playing, Jim, and Jim walking in, and this is my room. Jim walked into the room, and he took out a roll of money and threw it on the bed. And that was for me to spend while I was there on a holiday.
Spendies. Yeah.
You spend.
I think I was a teacher at the time, actually. We hadn't done anything, hadn't made any money. We were just like a mate of bikes.
That's nice. Yeah, we stayed at the Martinez Hotel.
Did we? Okay.
Yes, we did.
And there's a band playing. Remember the band? There's an English band playing downstairs.
No, I don't remember.
I know. I remember. And one of the guys in the band joined Man from Man.
Oh, gosh.
Man from Man. Yeah, yeah. And
Oh,
David, I remember them.
Amazing.
I mean, when this is finished, I remember who they were. Yeah.
Jim used to, when the money started to flow and we got our allowance every year, he was so embarrassed that he had a few readies, in his pocket. He used to, I think the tunnel in those days, was it 2 and 6?
2 shillings.
2 shillings, I think. And every time we went through the tunnel, he'd give the bloke a big blue fiver and say, keep change.
Oh.
He used to tip the tunnel toll booth.
Yeah.
He was just so embarrassed to have money. He just was
He was, yeah, he was good.
So funny.
Lovely man.
So many of your poems are whimsical, yet they're also profound. How do you dictate or decide on any given writing session what kind of audience you're going to write for? Adults, children?
Interesting, yeah. I don't quite often know when I start a poem whether it's a children's poem or an adult, and many of them actually swing both ways, you know what I mean, and could be in either book. But I mean, it's difficult. Some very short poems, and whether they become adult, I don't know. I'm just looking at one, but this is adult. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Short. Do you want to hear a short poem?
Yes.
Despite so much bad things going on, there's a poem called Survivor. Every day I think about violence in the streets, about homelessness, global warming, pollution, disease, starvation, violence, terrorism, war, the end of the world. It helps keep my mind off things.
Oh yeah,
that is the hallmark of a Roger McGough right there. Absolutely. You're going down the drain and then all the sun comes out. Yeah. That's wild. Switching to script writing away from poetry for a minute.
You were brought in late on, weren't you, in the production of Yellow Submarine?
Indeed.
1958 or something, was it?
68.
68.
Oh,
yeah,
is that,
got my long glasses on. Yeah. You worked as a sort of a script doctor, should we say? Tell us about that.
Well, what happened? Yeah, I got a call, and apparently it was being made. Yellow Submarine was being made by, I wish I remember the guy's name, but he made another one of the Beatles prior to that, and they wanted to get this one out quickly, Yellow Submarine, and they had a number of writers in, and attempted to do it, and were laid off and came back on it. And Eric Siegel, very famous writer, American New York professor, he was writing it at the time, and I think the Beatles found it a bit sort of didn't sound like them. That's all. Simple as that. It sounded like American New York. They sounded American. They sounded intelligent, and which they didn't seem right for them. And so one suggested we want to get someone from Liverpool, and I was brought in to make them sound as if they came from Liverpool. So I was brought in mainly for the opening scenes, in Liverpool. So I was given the script, and I Liverpoolianized it. And I must, as I wrote it. And because I was there, a lot of the people connected with the British company, with the animators, liked what I was doing. And I was brought in and did a lot of other things, like the Sea of Monsters I wrote completely. And lots of other things I went through the script and wrote. I did actually do, and I put jokes in here, there, and everywhere. But I never got any recognition because it wasn't agreed at the very beginning. My agent just brought me to do this. And that was it. Off you go. And they're very resistant to acknowledge it, and it was very, very annoying, really. Yeah, but
I know now.
You could be lying on a beach, where you are. I got on the beach.
We're not lying on the beach, though. We're at the kitchen.
Oh, no. Well, I won't then. Stay here.
That's really unfortunate, but the world knows now, because through our millions of listeners who
yes, okay,
exactly.
I wrote the best bit.
Yeah, my husband is saying, producers. I think he's missing the word "damn" in front of it. Damn producers.
Damn producers. Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So, I mean, obviously, again, back to being from Scousland, humor plays a strong role in a through line in your work. Do you see satire in particular as like a poetic responsibility, or is it just simply your personal style? Is it something you try to concentrate on?
I don't know. I suppose with people like, let's say, Ginsberg and co, and the English poets, my favourites of mine, Adrian Mitchell and Christopher Logue, which are now less well known, but they were very full on and very, very good and very, very outright and very outspoken.
Yeah.
And there aren't enough of those around sometimes at the moment, I think. And people are sometimes afraid to put a pen to paper or mouth to microphone to say what they feel. But you can do it in poetry. But I don't set out to change the world or to speak. It's just that I start writing and opinions come out, and I want to share my caring, if you like, the love for people you have, the good things about me.
Karen's saying, Roger, I was looking for your credits on the Yellow Submarine project, and I found Desmond, who's he talking about here now? Desmond Leslie. Years later, their castle was written into McCartney folklore, and then I saw a video of Desmond punching somebody on TV. Nice. What was Desmond Leslie a real person, or was it a pseudonym somebody used?
Don't know that. Don't know.
Must have been at a different time.
Session.
A different time in the production. Fascinating. So you've done all kinds of writing work, haven't you?
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, things I enjoyed too. I translated Molière, 3 Molière plays.
That's right. That's when I ran into you in Liverpool, wasn't it?
It was Tartuffe, Tartuffe and Misanthrope, and I've enjoyed that. Surprising to be asked.
So I mean, you've worked in radio and music, theatre, and poetry. Yeah. Which medium gives you the greatest sense of creative freedom? Does any one of them?
Or all of them?
Mm-hmm.
They're all, what I find, what I'm doing this week, and I'm doing what I did last week, was judging poetry awards or judging awards, for things. Bring you, because you're a name, people like to have you in there.
Yeah.
And some really good, some are the best children's book, poetry book of the year sort of thing, or a Sky Arts Awards, which you get the best arts awards for, and which is quite difficult actually, because it involves a lot of reading and judging. How do you compare an anthology of Shakespeare's verse with books about how to jump up and down and say rhymes, and I mean, there's such a wide range, isn't there? You've got to come down on the side. And do you choose a poet who's well known and probably doesn't need the award, or do you look for someone new? You've got to be careful about being diverse and not diverse and all those things, which is the days we live in. And this I do more and more of, and that's which is okay. But I do gigs. I like doing my gigs.
Yeah, and so what does an evening with Alive and Gigging, an evening with Roger McGough consist of? How's the show constructed?
Well, it's amazing.
Of course it is.
Well, I mean, it's funny. Like, I was just hesitating to tell you because some things are like secretive, because I don't know. Because I don't mean that, but I mean part of it comes on, and I sometimes read a letter from the poet, and who apologizes for not being able to make it because of tariffs and trains not running on time. So he's hired this out of work actor, and that sort of goes on. And then just to get people at their ease and help them enjoy it. But for instance, and then sit down. What I do now, Alive and Gigging, very different to what I used to do. I used to dance onto stage and jump around and pick the microphone up and get everybody going. And I was like a sex god, rock and roll. Really. Nowadays, not so much. So I tend to have a nice chair, nice easy stool, with nice things on, and a table, and a microphone, head mic possibly, and I sit down, and it's very much like me talking to the audience as well as reading, and so it's the poem, and then talking about how the poem came around, and and the bits in between develop and get bigger and longer and quite interesting. And for me, anyway, I talk to the audience. Yeah, talk to the audience, and I sort of quite realize quite like being on stage. I don't like people looking at me.
Oh, make up your mind.
So what I do is, having sort of the lights. I don't want just like lights on me. I like to see the audience and see how they are, and we feel we're friends. We're all part of the same experience.
Have you thought about the brown paper baggie?
I should wear a brown paper bag. It's been suggested and it's been said many times. Yeah.
Well, either that, or if you don't like
turn me back on, or to get the audience to sit around the other way.
Or you could get all the audience a bag each.
Yeah, even better.
Then they wouldn't be looking at you, and then you'd be comfortable.
Yeah.
You could just.
Oh, you mean baggies with no holes in them?
Yes, right.
Oh,
just bag the audience. It's crazy. Do you, when you back to the judging for a second? That's fascinating. Obviously, there would be, I'm guessing, up and coming and new aspiring poets. With all of this AI, as you mentioned before, what advice, when a young poet or a student of English literature comes to you and says, I want to be a poet, what sort of advice from your gut would you give them? Yeah. Martin said, "Jump out the window."
Yeah, jump out the window. Yeah, don't do it.
He's got it. Well, she's got it. Yeah.
No, I mean the gift. It's a gift wanting to do it. To be honest, that you want to do it's instinct, isn't it? Why do you want to do poetry? Why don't you go and do something else? Make money. Why don't you go and be a musician? Why don't you go? Okay, so you decide to write a poem about something. You've got something to say, something you feel you want to share with somebody. That's good. It's a very secretive thing, very private thing. And go and do it and write. And sometimes if you're young, just write and try to, don't describe things necessarily always. Be that something you're describing. How does that thing you're describing, what's he feel like? If you're writing about, about a firework being thrown somewhere, don't describe the firework in the sky. Describe what the firework feels like. Things like this. I don't know. And read a lot of poetry, read poetry. I run workshops and things to make it sort of fun as well. But want people, and I never know sometimes, where the poetry's going. I don't have an ending sometimes, the poem. Start off, I don't know where it's going to go. And that's the exciting part of get to the end.
Wow.
I'm going to feel so embarrassed reading my lyrics I've written, my limericks I've written for you.
No, don't, because limerick is good. Limerick, you've got to end up with the same thing at the beginning.
That's right. Two, and one.
Yeah, and haiku. That's good.
Right.
5, 7, 5. You know what you got to do. You got to complete it.
That's right. Yeah, it's
easy.
So
it gives you something to work. Some people like something to work too and have fun.
Yeah.
Karen's asking, do you go and watch poets or comedy? Live performances. If you were to buy a ticket, who would you go and see?
Okay. A friend of mine is John Cooper Clarke. He's very popular over here. I'd like to go and see him. Holly McNeish, lots of young poets around, good poets. I don't go to them as much as I probably should, because time, I'll be asked.
And AR.
AR, exactly, yeah. AR.
Who's asked, yeah.
And who's
asked? Yeah.
Exactly.
I'm lucky because a local theatre to me, lovely little theatre, and they have the comedians who are going up to Edinburgh. They come to their trial. So that's good. You can go there and enjoy these people, young poets who are going up and off to Edinburgh. So I like doing that. Yeah.
So speaking of haikus and limericks, and Ange got 2 letters from Queen Camilla thanking her and for the silly books. You've got a connection there too, right?
Yes, you are. I think you're doing the Queen's Reading Room in September.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah.
There's a chap called Giles Brandreth who does lots and lots of things
yes.
with literature, and he's Giles. He's asked me.
Oh, yes, I know who he is.
Yeah, I remember him. And I met Queen Camilla once before. I did a reading, school's reading. She was there, and she's very involved, very hands-on in children's reading.
I know. She loves her.
Right. She grew up very approachable and very nice.
I got an email from Vicky this morning, actually. Yeah. They've added another name to the list for the September.
Oh, very good. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I'm looking forward to chatting with Giles, another poet, Ben
Yeah.
Opry, writer, and yeah, see what happens. So that'll be good. Yeah, looking forward to that.
So speaking of
Don't know what
poems,
to wear. What should I wear? Don't know what to wear.
I think you look very sporty spice in what you're wearing now.
I don't, no, that might be
I always
pushing it.
liked you in pink.
Oh, and the fishnets.
Oh, the
Yeah.
fishnight stocking. Yeah, it's lovely. Get out of here. Get out of here.
Talk about that.
Gotta have the fishnets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
Crazy old bag you are. You were
I've
going
still got
to.
the white suits. I've still got my white suit
Oh,
upstairs.
yes.
I came across it the other week. Yeah, Scaffold used to wear white suits
Yes.
famously, and I've still got my still
Pure
fits.
and virginal. Yeah.
Still fits.
No comment.
That's wild. So you were going to grace us with one of your, the last poem in your book.
If I may I? Yeah.
I'd love to.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, this is the book, and when it first came out at the end of last year, and I went on tour with it, and I used to first show I did, I said, "Welcome everyone." So I'll start with the first poem. And I started the first poem, and then when I got to about there, it was midnight, and they're all falling asleep. So I'm not doing that anymore. But this is last poem in the book, and it has a Liverpool connection because I wrote it after seeing an exhibition of photographs in Liverpool, a place called the Open Eye Gallery, and it was poems by Ukrainian photographers about the world. So I just wrote this poem, and it's "Call Me World." I am land. I'm happy for you to live on me, till and plough, graze your cattle, build your homes upon me. I will feed, nourish, even bury you, but I'm not yours. Not yours to fight over, to invade and plunder, divide and destroy. I do not belong to you. Even though you claim me, I'm not yours. I've no name, flag, or anthem. Call me world. When I make you angry, call me names. Earthquake, wildfire, and volcano. Call me tsunami, tornado. But do not call me China or Russia, Ukraine or Taiwan. I'm not your Israel or Palestine, your America or United Kingdom. I am land. I've no name but earth. Call me world. I will sit for your landscape paintings, pose for your cameras, for your songs and poems, be a source of inspiration. But I'm not yours. Japan, Pakistan, choose a name. Iran, Afghanistan, one and the same. You come and go, only I remain. Call me world.
Wow. That was.
Rog, I'm nearly in tears.
I know. I brought to you by Kleenex. Holy crap.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable. I'm going to feel a right bloody idiot
Pillock.
now. A right pillock.
A right
Reading
pillock.
you the limerick that we wrote about you.
No, don't be silly. Don't be silly. No.
How very dare we?
That is
beautiful.
blowing people's minds. That is
Yes.
incredible. And that is obviously available in your book, The
Yeah.
Collected Poems, 1955 to 2024. Available now wherever you get your fabulous books.
Thank you.
And people can find more about you and your tour dates at rogermcgough.org, right?
Yep.
That's your current
Great.
website. And do you keep count of how many books you've published?
Over 100, over 100 books.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, I'm such an amateur. I'm only on my 8th. Mind you, I didn't
Time.
start till I was 83. Excuses. Doesn't matter.
No.
It's what did somebody say once? It's never too late to become what you were supposed to be.
No,
Yeah.
that's very good.
I'm still trying. Very trying.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for
Thanks,
spending
Rog.
time.
Thank you both. Really good. It's a pleasure and delightful. Just to see you after all these years, looking so great.
Yes.
Yeah,
Likewise.
you're a treasure. You really
We're
are.
still alive and kicking.
Yeah.
And so
Well,
if you are sitting comfortably,
We'll begin.
then we shall begin. I'll let you count the speed.
1, 2, 3.
Roger, with pen and a grin, spins verses and smiles soon begin. From Lily the Pink to more serious ink, a master of mirth and chagrin. A craftsman of verses and such, dear readers are held in his clutch. Plus his songwriting skills gave us even more thrills. So Roger, thank you very much.
Right.
Ta-da!
Well done, guys.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Everybody
Thank
head
you.
to Amazon and look up Roger's 100 books and rogermcgough.org if you're in the UK. He is alive and gigging, and we can't thank him enough for joining us today on TeaFlix, sponsored by Mrs. McCartney's Teas. Get the kettle on.
Okay, bye-bye.
We'll see you
guys.
all.
Bye.
All right, kids.
Goodbye now.